What do you want to tell to the entire world, about who Leo Lorcy is?
What do I want the world to know?
Yeah, about you.
It's not really what I want them to know about me, because no matter what, everybody's gonna get their own opinion, their own perspective. It's more about like what gets put out.
Okay.
So whatever they get, it's more about what they get rather than what they know.
Mm-hmm.
And everybody's gonna get different things because everybody's gonna see a different perspective. Like whoever you think is the greatest person in the world, whoever you think is like a pure role model, whoever you think is someone that has done a great job, there's no matter what going to be an isolated percentage of people that are going to have a completely different opinion. So I don't want to be too focused on that. I'm just going to focus on embodying my best self, and then I'm going to ooze that out into everywhere I go, and into other people, into my businesses, into my voice, and into other people's lives through a bunch of different ways. So.
Obviously we were talking about just a second ago about purity and pure intentions, and I guess the message that you want to tell the world, I would say, and then so with pure role models, what is a pure role model for you?
Okay, let's get deep for a second. So everybody, I don't think my idea of a pure role model is what everybody should aspire to be, because everybody has a different potential to max out. Mm-hmm. And because the higher consciousness is living through you, yes, it's like one thing that we're all connected by, but also it lives differently through each of us. It wants to live a different world through each of us, right? It doesn't want to live the same world through. Otherwise, none of us would be unique, right? Mm-hmm. So anybody who's watching this can understand that. Well, they need to ask themselves the question, like, what is my idea of being my best self? Like, how could I be a pure role model? And that's through various industries or through various practices, etc. Being my best self, continuously being clear of what God wants me to do. So it's going to always shift and it's going to always evolve. And like, me at 50, when I have kids, is going to be a different type of role model as what I'm shooting for in my 20s. You get what I'm saying? Yeah. I'm trying to have a different image. But yeah, so that's already all planned out. And I already know that I'm going to self-fulfill all of that, because just to go on a side note, for a more, you could say, significant answer, we all live our own self-fulfilling prophecies. Mm-hmm. So whatever kind of story you create in your mind, whether it's a short-term or a long-term story, most of the time you're going to find a way to like live it out. Mm-hmm. So for example, when someone's creating a story like, oh, today's a bad day because of this, or oh, this is going to go wrong because of this, or they're all already on like a back foot, they're going to find a way to make it more like that, whether it's to, feed them wanting to be right, or it's just like their mind is like programmed to end up doing that. But one of the first things I continuously said, like, when we all met up to do this podcast, is like, oh, today is like a great day because of this, because of that. I already created the story in my mind of like, we're going to shake our hands after this. We're like, this was perfect, right? So that's exactly what's going to happen. And that's exactly how you should approach each task. That's exactly how you should approach each long-term thing. Mm-hmm. So yeah, maybe like what I plan for myself in my 40s is going to be different once I get there, because the world's also going to change a lot. But yeah, be very, very aware. Awareness is so key for anything related to success or living a good life or just being happy, because if you're not aware, then you're gonna end up living a story. You're gonna end up living a life that the deeper part of your inside won't be aligned with or won't want. But as soon as you can tap into that awareness, then you can make sure that, okay, let me direct myself. Let me create the story. Let me write the story that I do want to live. And then obviously there's a bunch of different things you do in between. But then once you get on that, you're going to make sure that whatever route you go is going to satisfy you truly inside, and you're going to be aligned with it, and everything is going to go right, and you're going to be able to handle everything. And yeah. Just a short example. to help you understand how fast it works, let's say on like a week-to-week basis.
Mhm.
So someone who you could say is like a client of mine, but also I helped him get a remote sales role, and now he's making a lot of money. But basically, he came in, and the plan was for him to go ahead and make, I don't know, first month like over 10K, not as he should have. But first couple of weeks, things were a bit slow. There was fires in LA. He had something that went wrong with his family. I'm not going into too much detail, and also personal life, relationships.
Not as how he would want all at the same time. And this is an example that's not like, oh, that's obvious, because a lot of you guys would probably have this exact same answer. So he didn't have this kind of start he wanted. So what is he telling himself? He's telling himself, oh no, it's fine, I'll get through it. And then, when everything's over, I'm going to the numbers are going to get better. I'll get through it and I'll coast through it. And that's obviously a better mindset than saying like, oh fuck, I'm just going to quit for a bit. Like, that's obviously a better mindset. Like, right? Most people who focus on mindset would probably say that. But I was like, because I was like kind of taking it as a coaching call, I'm like, all right, let me not just be like, okay, good job. Like, let me actually like give him some sauce right here. And then I was like, I told him about the self-fulfilling prophecy, and that's when I decided. So then what I told him is that rather than just getting through it, why don't we create a better story? Because what's going to happen is you're just going to get through it. Is that like the best? Is that, if you can look at all the different realities, is that like the best one you want to tap into? Mm-hmm. No. You can't control what's going to happen to your grandma. Can't take something back that already happened. You already know that this other relationship, this fire, that you already know that all this thing, could happen for the best if you make it. So what about we all say, because of all this happening, I'm just going to go harder than ever. I'm going to hit a new stride. I'm going to go, whatever, like demon mode, killer mode, or I'm just going to go God mode, or I'm just going to go so crazy and outdo myself. And that was basically the idea, is like create that new story where now it's like not just getting through it, but actually reaching a new level than if none of this ever happened. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, I'm going to tell you this, but just understand that I wouldn't tell that to anybody, because not anybody could really take it to that next level, especially if their life is not in the position they want. They would just, they would have to go through it. So what ended up happening is he started to beat records and he started to go crazy. And that's exactly what happened. And now he's like maintaining that level. So I was just like, as I watched it unfold, I was like, yeah, of course. That's the story we created for him. So this works on an hourly basis for tasks. This works on a day basis for how you want the day to go. This works week to week, month goals, and lifetime. So that's why I know I'm still young, only 20, but on a lifetime basis, since I've been starting to focus so much mentally the past 4 years, I've basically surpassed a lot of the things that I wanted to. Back to another topic, awareness. I didn't have the awareness when I first started designing the life I wanted and the person I wanted. I didn't have, I thought I had awareness, but awareness is only going to just keep on getting better and better. The one quote is, the path illuminates as you walk. So you'll get more awareness on what you want as you go into it. And also as you start, start something, you're going to get more awareness. Like now that we started talking, right, you have way more ideas than before. So always the best answer for everything is like just to start. Don't overthink it, and never lose sight of the awareness, because that's always the true things that you want, and that's always the true answer. Yeah, you can't. Sometimes it's like good to be ignorant if you're overthinking. Let's like, let me just focus on this. Let me just lock in. Let me block out the noise. Like, yeah, like whatever. Just like kind of turn your mind off for a second. Sometimes it's good, right? And to always be thinking at 110%. But you have to always make sure you have times where you're doing that. What are some habits that can give you that ultimate clarity? Obviously, journaling is one. Praying is one. Something I got into recently. Nice. Because it automatically puts you into that higher state where you automatically talking to the higher power. And obviously meditation, but any other things that elevate you. So working out elevates you because you're like going through adversity. No. So you get it. For some people, for you guys sitting there, yeah, for you guys, what elevates you is if you're doing music. That's like your thing. You get what I'm saying? So whenever you're like not caring about anything else and you're just like, I don't know, you're making beats or however the creative process goes, you're not caring about whatever else is going on in your life because you're like you're elevated, you're in your thing.
Right.
So that's what everybody can and should do
Yeah, I think
most of the time.
I think for sure it's like when you're like in a state like you said awareness and you're aware of everything that you're doing and in the state where you're in full understanding and full we like even say purity. I think walking through life is just so much easier because you see a clear path and most people can't because they're getting so many distractions from other people, other worldly things, and when people are not aligned in
In the, I would even say the presence of God, it's very difficult to then go ahead and align with yourself with other people that are matching with your frequency, even, right? And that's why I think what you said was absolutely beautiful. And I actually wanted to ask because I know that you're, with what you're doing and things like that with your profession. I was going to say, how can people apply, the purity, the awareness factor, I would even go ahead and say the just the wholest. What's the entire process? Like if you're in sales, for example, and they want to go ahead and apply that whole process. Like what would you tell everyone to go ahead and start doing?
Apply which process?
Well, like the whole like understanding the purity and making sure you're aligned with yourself.
Being aligned, being aware. Well, like I said, okay, let's use sales as an example because
Because you've helped a lot of sales.
yeah, exactly. Because this is something I'm very knowledgeable about the actual skill, but also I oversee. I mean, I see the progress of hundreds of salespeople inside the company I work with, and also within my own process.
Well, maybe by the time you're seeing this, it's tens of thousands of people. So yeah, but let's just use this as an example for any other industry or any other process. So I do notice it's obvious that someone who is more spiritual or more understanding of all that will be more successful at whatever they want at hand. Is that your phone?
yeah.
This is separating the physical and spiritual world just because they're obviously going to be able to deal with things better and they're probably more aware of things and probably take better care of their health,
Right.
but also they're like able to vibe higher. And when you're in something like sales or when you're in people to people interactions, just in like life, like you being more tapped in, it's just like, you're seeing all these people like, hello, 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 hello. And then this guy's like kind of has a little bit of light that you can feel, right? So that's the power of being spiritually tapped in. But then there's a flip side of it, which are people that they have that, but then they have the disconnect to the physical world.
And that's something that I almost had it a couple of times, but this is also why I realized that everything has to be a perfect shade of gray, not just black and white. And that's, yeah, I mean, you might have some friends that are like ultra spiritual, but you might think, oh, he's just weird, right? And because he can't, he hasn't worked as much on his physical self, not just appearance, but physical self in terms of like the way he talks, in terms of like his life, the life he lives,
understanding.
yeah. And then same thing in business. Someone who like is just only focused on. Sometimes you can kind of create your own limitations from above. And what I mean by that is it's you're overthinking. So it's like, oh, I don't know if I want to sell this. Oh, like I don't know if this is the way that I'm gonna make money. I don't know. And then you get what I'm saying. So you start when the idiot would just be like, oh, I'll take it. I'll make money. Oh, I'll bet. But the other person's like, I don't know if this is aligned with me. And sure, that's a kind of a good question to ask. But like, what if you ask that for everything? Then those are the people that are like kind of don't really make money, but they're like super tapped in. So just that one of you guys might have been like, because that kind of message would have maybe resonated with me a minute ago. Sometimes I would like go like that. The best is to have like a full maximum focus on both the spiritual and the physical. Hopefully that made okay, bet, let me make that change. Like that is true.
Right.
That I have been noticing that.
There's a lot of people that have a lot of freedom and a lot of prosperity in the physical world. They have the physical world, right? But they're definitely not free in mentally and spiritual. There's a lot of people that are free spiritually and mentally, but not in the physical world. Right. Maybe like they're fit physically, but not in the physical world. So that means that your options are limited. That means that you can live less interesting things. You can do less things for other people. And you're kind of locked. One perfect example is because I want you to identify, because this is how you can make a perfect plan and adjust for the best for yourself. And that's to go ahead. Let's say you're in a job, right? There's so many spiritual people I know that are healthy and like they're locked in a job, right? So do you think that you would live a higher level being? Do you think that God would be happier living through you if you're taking care of yourself and you're there, or if you're taking care of yourself and you have more freedom, able to provide more freedom for the people around you, and you don't have to report to another boss, and doesn't mean you have to live at home, but you're doing something which is more aligned with you, and you're just in a better position in the physical world?
I guess alignment.
The answer is yes.
I guess alignment also really depends on who the person is. I think many people in this world, their alignment means many different things, and I think a lot of this stuff that we're talking about is also subjective to every other human, right? I think that alignment between me and you can be completely different, but I think obviously we're pretty aligned, I think, similarly, but in the sense of like, okay, well, spiritually, mentally, and physically, we could be aligned completely differently in different aspects, right? Yeah. But if we understand the spiritual world and we understand the world that we live in, especially when we're in the present moment, most people cannot identify those things, right? Understanding to realize the alignment, that's a one whole process in and of itself. And I think what I was going to get into is actually understanding how to become in the present moment. And when it comes to like the present moment, and you can identify when you're in it and when you're out. The second your mind leaves like the current state, the current like, oh, I am here, that's when you kind of can identify the fact that you're somewhere else and that you're not in the present moment. Like I can tell exactly when you're in and not in the present moment. Yeah.
I zoned in and out of the present moment in the past like 20 minutes a lot.
Exactly. Yeah. So it's like when you zone in and out of those moments, like even when you're talking, you even are not present. You're in a different world. And understanding when you can actually get into that present moment, I think that's where you can actually go ahead and identify those things, because that's when you're purely aligned with time. And time is boundless. There's no such thing as really time. And if you can get into that state, I think, in my opinion, you're perfectly aligned with God. Because what is God? He is all beings at all time, knowing everything, everywhere. The most beautiful thing, and you can even feel the spiritual presence around you when you are in that present moment. It's a really weird feeling. Like I remember we were like sitting and talking, and it was just like I was like, wow, we were present, bro. I can feel like.
And I know exactly why and how people can do it more. So the reason, well, you mentioned something perfect, which is God is not the past, the present, or the future. It's just I am. And I did post that on my Instagram the other day, and it was just actually perfect. I didn't post it from the Bible, but I posted from the power of now. Right. It's like, I am that I am, and that's why embodiment is so important, because a lot of you guys are like, oh, I'm gonna be this later, I'm gonna do that. No. It's like being that of what you want, and finding it in the past example of that is finding it in who you've always been. So that's finding it deep inside. And the present is always deep inside, and the future is faith deep inside. Also, what the Power of Now talks about, which is why you think that God and all good things happen in the present, is it's the space between. It's like an abundance vortex. So it's the portal of the unmanifested. Interesting. That's what they call it. The portal of the unmanifested. And this is why you see, like, when you enter, like, do you ever like wait for something to happen, and you're like waiting, and then it like doesn't happen because you're like not present. You're thinking about getting the thing, and you're creating the resistance. Yeah, it's you're like not really creating that portal. You're ruining. But whenever you enter like whenever you're waiting for something and you enter a pure flow state, like, dude, as soon as you get back to your phone later, or like whatever we start doing after this, because you got present in the flow state, you're gonna feel like so many things have happened, because it's crazy. And I know it sounds like a very spiritual thing, but there's also a mental side of it. You kind of enter the portal of the unmanifested. That's scientifically in the book, but also mentally, because of the fact that you enter the subconscious mind. So the subconscious mind is like all the goals you have, all the things you want for yourself, are in the unmanifested in your mind. And you tap into it. So you end up saying things that thought of before, or getting those ideas. That's why you get all the ideas like when you're about to go to sleep. That's why actually most of the great inventions happen in like that theta state.
Yeah,
because
because sleeping and like awake.
Because okay, the spiritual people say that their mind got like there's like ideas flying around and they found it, and then the psychologists or whatever people will say like, oh, that's because it's like their mind connected the dots from like their unconscious, and they basically just removed the prefrontal cortex or like the extra conscious mind. So that's exactly why all good things happen when you're extremely present. You think you get more energy. Like you see a lot of people.
Dude, I feel it right now.
You see, this is why states and like getting into a flow is so important. And this is what I try to do more and more. Is I mean, you see some people that are just always like they can go 10 hours a day, boom, boom, boom all the time. And that's because they're always so present. They're always in a state. Like people that are always like talking, always nice, always good vibes, boom, shaking hands, or even not, or even if they're antisocial, but they're getting into a flow state some other way. By the way, like speaking with people and speaking is like does get you into a flow state because it delivers dopamine in your mind because you're getting reactions from people and it's like a dynamic thing. But music gets you into a flow state, like it's music you like, right? A bunch of different things, reading, or even if it's meditative. And working out or playing sports, getting your heart rate up. Obviously work, like if you enjoy what you're doing. There's so many different things. Even like texting so many times with like clients or one-on-one coaching clients. Like I set up. Well, I'm not gonna explain all the different reasons why, but I add like a little routine, like sometimes for specific benefits of them. Sending messages of gratitude to random people, or kind of like giving or messages of grateful, parts of being grateful, because it automatically elevates you. And whenever you get into that present state, not only are you tapping into higher frequencies, so you're attracting things better, but you're also putting better pieces together. You're removing blocks. You're removing blocks in your mind, and you're tapping into the portal of the unmanifested. Everybody wants to manifest, but that's exactly how. Right. You can create the manifestation is putting the things in your mind or putting the things you want and like being super clear on that, being aware and planting the subconscious seeds. And then what you have to do, whether this is on a task, whether it's like, okay, now turn that shit off and get present in the task, play the game, or also on a long-term scale, months, weeks. And that's how you best go smooth with it without being too overly conscious and not being present when you actually have to execute.
We can always visualize things. We can always look towards the future, but I think some people, like, especially when it comes to manifesting, that's all they do. Like most people, they're like, yeah, I'm gonna manifest. Yeah, I'm gonna I'm gonna attract this. But like, you can't just manifest without doing. And even it's like when in the Bible it says, "Seek and you shall find." Right? It's like you can seek all the things you want in the world, but I think also it's like if you don't knock, if you don't actually go ahead and try, then it's not going to come to you. And I think I heard this somewhere where you gotta like I'm very spiritual as well, right? In the sense that like I believe that we have to give everything that we're doing to God, and I think that if we give God the command to our ship while we row, it's going to be the best form of like, hey, getting us to where we need to go, whether that's a spiritual, mental, or physical realm in our lives. Right? Especially in business, when it comes to like, hey, just giving it towards God and just, letting Him handle, the whole process while we actually go ahead and do the work. And I think that's also one of the most beautiful things about, what we do in this life that we're given.
Yeah.
And I did want to like talk, because we were talking about this a few days ago. I think you texted me about the whole, like, I know the Matrix movie, you were watching about it, and then you kind of like were telling me about like what you've realized, and I think that's like super important. I think maybe we can share that. You were saying yesterday, I got such a download while I was meditating. I also watched parts of the Matrix movie, and one of the parts that interested me was that the agent told Morpheus that he actually hates the world and he wants to be free.
Yeah.
That made me realize while meditating that I'm actually a free soul, and no matter what level people are, they're not actually free inside. So easy equation. Just focus on freeing as many people as possible through God, through financial abundance, through discipline, through habits, through mindset, through living life that they actually want to live. and we're
Show them the WhatsApp.
show them what's
No,
up.
yeah.
You guys can check it out over here.
And I'm happy you actually mentioned that because I was gonna almost post it on my story, but then I'm like, nah, it's for you guys.
Yeah.
But that's actually so true. Literally, in the movie, I don't watch movies that much.
Right.
And to be honest, I just bought it to watch it. I didn't watch the whole thing all the way through.
Right.
But I was just like, let me just like see some gems or just like I don't know, like I
See
feel
some
like
data sets,
like,
you know?
No, it's kind of cool. Like you get into like a little mode.
Yeah.
Because someone's saving the world. So like.
Right.
It's like you're gonna, even if it's fictional, you're gonna learn something from, or at least you're gonna get inspired from someone saving the world. And then, literally, and then there was a scene in there. He basically fights for like the bad Matrix, whatever. And so basically, he was telling Morpheus, who just, long story short, Morpheus is like, he's like the guide or the teacher of the resistance, right? For like freeing people, basically.
Yeah.
And so once they catch Morpheus, and then they're trying to torture him or whatever, and then the main agent, he tells his other agents like, okay, go for a second, I want to talk with him. And then what he's actually telling him is it's like, I hate this reality, nah. And he's telling that to Morpheus. And then also sometimes in parts of some of the people who are free in parts of the movie, sometimes, throughout the movie, they would be like, sometimes I just want to enjoy this world, just live, what do you call it? Ignorance is bliss. It's like, why do we have to live in this reality? But
because knowing the truth is hurtful.
Not only, so the people were saying that all throughout the beginning.
As soon as like it seems like they're about to lose, the resistance is about to lose, like I heard from the main agent of the Matrix, whatever, literally telling the teacher when they trapped him, he'd be just like, I hate this world, like I want to be free, kind of type of thing. At least that's what I got from it. And that made me realize, I didn't get it right away, but then I meditated after the movie. Right. And then I like, that literally came to my mind. I was like, hold up. Think about this in our sense.
Right.
Like you see some people like at people who are, controlling strings, people who are at the top, you're like, oh, like, I want to be like him or whatever. It's to actually be a free soul is like very valuable. Those people would trade everything, or maybe they wouldn't, because they don't know.
It really depends, because it's like, but most people know that being in the truth and understanding the truth is very difficult.
But it's not just about
everyone
truth.
can.
It's not just about the truth. A lot of people understand the truth, but they're not free. That's low-key just some like social media shit. Like, oh, the truth shall set you free. I'm going to tell you all the truth. Yeah, partially. It's like, also you got to be able to. So many people know the truth. They know what's wrong with them or what's wrong with their life, but they're not obviously making it happen on the outside world. So freedom on the outside world, but then also freedom mentally, let's say. Okay, so a lot of people know about God and know that they should seek God, but they're not actually tapped in, so they're not spiritually free. Right? They don't have a really good relationship. And then mentally, so many people know a bunch of things. They know what's wrong with this. They know what they should do. They know what they should do, what they want. They know I want to be happy. They know no. But they haven't set themselves free mentally. To set yourself free mentally, what it means is that you're in control of your own thoughts. You're in control of your own hands, your own actions. You're in control of yourself. You're in control of what you want to feel. And basically, you're also removing limitations. So you're thinking what you want to think and you're feeling how you want to feel. Okay? The reason why most people are actually not mentally free is they don't actually I want all of you guys to realize right now, it's 100% possible for you to be mentally free. Whatever mental change you feel like you're feeling right now, you feel like you're past, or you feel like the negative thinking. I used to have so much negative thinking, anger, sadness, depression, trauma. No. All of those are mental. That's all a mental prison. Okay, and also even comparing yourself, jealousy, like all of that is a mental prison. And
you need to fix that. So fixing that, all of you guys like understand like it is possible. And I'm not just saying this just to brag, but I want you to know firsthand, not only do I know people that live like that, but firsthand, I lived the other paradigm, even though I knew that's for something greater. So I knew the things, but I actually freed myself. And that's basically by controlling my mind through control my subconscious. That's something I teach a lot. Control my mind through being so aware and being so conscious. Control my mind through my habits, my actions, my states. If you're able to control your states, which maybe I'll link a video somewhere below or something, I have a bunch of videos on that. But if you're able to control your states, then you're able to control your emotions, then you're able to control your outcomes. That's the energy, that's emotion. That's what you feel, that's the paradigm that you live. So freeing yourself on your inner paradigm, yes, it will make your outer paradigm different, but that's the lens you see life through. So even if you're not everything changed on the outside yet, like you are freed inside, and that's the most valuable thing. It is 100% possible. Like you guys can't even, some of you guys might not even imagine it yet, but it is. So that should give you the faith to go through it. But it does take a lot of that different work. Ideally, you want to have the trifecta: mental, physical world, and spiritual world freedom. And yes, what I want, thank you for bringing that up, is everybody can be 100% free, and that is how you free yourself. That is what you should go for. That is the way you should categorize it. And that's not going to be all the information you need, but that should help you understand what must be done next. So the actions that can be taken, which is finding out those things and then doing those things. And I also have a lot of stuff where you can find it out on. So yes.
Yeah. That's a lot to take in. I'll say, like, first and foremost, just, well, let me ask you this: we're in Las Vegas right now. Most people are in a state of what? Bliss, state of just not awareness, not present moment. They're just. I'll be super straight up. Sometimes when you walk through the streets and you can look into people's eyes and see that they're obviously alive, but they're not there. Like, you can see that they're in their eyes are gone. And I'm like, and this is even when back in the days when we used to throw huge events and things like that and just big shows, like me and my co-founder, we were just thinking like, wow, like, obviously we're playing great music, these artists are playing fantastic music and things like that because it's EDM and house and stuff like that. It's like great vibes, but most people in the crowds are not aware. They're gone. They're like, in their eyes, it's like they're somewhere else. And as you could see the same thing here in Vegas. Like, you could walk through the casinos. Yeah. It's constant kind of like not only just say manipulation, but dopamine hits every so often. And then when you see these people, they're so like.
But look, there's different. There's the people who are. Let me give you a perfect example. But not that example. There's the ones who are not free, so the ones that have some sort of addiction,
right?
And the ones that are trying to escape. So those ones are not free because any form of addiction is dependency, which is literally means not independent. So that means not free. And then there's the people who are actually kind of free. Like, there's good people, like so many good people that come down. They're just having a fun time with their friends, and they're just going. So any type of example, yes, like drinking is a perfect example. Like, there's a difference with if drinking is something that makes you locked, something that you're dependent on, then that's a habit you can remove. A lot of freeing yourself is not just adding things, but removing things.
Right.
Okay, so removing all those addictions, removing all those things, even if that's scrolling on your phone a lot, junk food, well, that has like physical world bad things, also mental things. So all of those dopamine detoxing. That's why actually dopamine detoxing. Thank you for reminding me. Well, I remind myself. Thank you for reminding myself that. Thank you for reminding you that dopamine detox is actually one of the things that allowed me to get a full paradigm shift to free myself inside. Because if you're still feeling like you're super unfree, that's what you must do. I'm not going to break it all down now. You need to go understand that for yourself. And I can't stress enough. The people who I've had the crazy life-changing paradigm shifts with, like one-on-one clients or whatever, people in my life, dopamine detoxing makes it it makes it easier too. It seems like it's harder, but it makes it easier. So back to that, you would remove that habit, let's say drinking, for example. Right. But drinking doesn't mean, like, you can do it to celebrate. You can do it in being free. Maybe you feel free, you want to feel more free, you drink like with a girl or when you're traveling or with your friends. You know what I'm saying? So there's nothing wrong with that. You can use that for any example. Understand like how you can assess not just what you're doing, but how you're doing it. The place that you're doing it out of. You know what I'm saying? And also the thought of dopamine detox that you should remember. The next thing that I wanted to mention about what you're doing things out of comes from like a place of inner status. Basically, a lot of times, let's say when it comes to persuasion or influence or getting, this is for my salespeople, this is for my people who want to attract high level friends and relationships, this is for my people who want to whatever, like everything is people, like that's so many times you want this but out of the wrong thing. You're gonna say this but out of the wrong thing. So let's say you walk up to someone and then you say something but it's out of insecurity. Then you say something to put yourself up, but it's out of insecurity. So that insecurity is actually going to be mirrored back to you. And that's not the right thing that you should be oozing. It's not just about what you say and who you talk to. Vice versa, you can just be speaking out of, this is why it's so important to actually be like, I actually want you to not just do certain things and look like you're doing certain things, but be it, right? Because then especially that's what's so big in terms of relationships and through the phone or whatever, is people can tell and people are attracted to you more if you are actually fully there. Like if you look, once again, you might think that insecurity is something that traps you, like, oh, there's no way I can like not fully be insecure. But like if someone would ask me, it's like, yeah, like obviously I do have some like low insecurities. I don't want it to make myself seem inhumane by not. But like if you were to genuinely ask me, like I could look at you straight in the face, like I have said to a lot of people. It's like, I cannot think of any insecurities right now. Like that is pure true confidence. Pure true confidence is not acting confident, but then feeling the insecurity inside. That's actually could come out even less good. You get what I'm saying? Than just being nonchalant. So hopefully you can make that differentiation of what I'm trying to say, because that is like a pure essence of attraction, a pure essence of persuasion, a pure essence of influence, and that basically elevates your internal status. So I'm not just saying to elevate your outer status, but your inner status. Obviously, by feeling that and embodying that, you're gonna have to put a lot of subconscious input, and also you're gonna have to prove it to yourself, like physically, right? So if you're doing all the right habits, if you're doing all the right things, like if you know that you're the man, if you prove yourself throughout your life, you can tap into that. If you tap into the higher power, if you tap into God, and you feel like God is living through you, bro, like what type of inner status do you feel like you feel?
Yeah, you feel the best, man.
Dude, that's what makes you like literally not just unstoppable, but you're elevated in a fake, in just a non-fake way, and that's truly how I would want you to elevate yourself. And that is once again done through God. That's once again done through a lot of mental work. That's done through a lot of years, a lot of experience. That's done through, which is something that I lack, but I managed to kind of hijack it. And you can need that, hijacking it by taking confidence from your future self. I said that once in a mastermind, and people were like, yo, taking confidence from your future self. So, you know, if you don't even have a good future self to take confidence from, then that's something that you can build. What's an example of that? Is it's like, I know I can walk into a room with like, okay, there's all these people, but my identity is merged with my best self, but also my future self. So maybe I might not have this physically yet now, but I know I'm going to have it. I'm this person. You get what I'm saying? Like I'm not just all that you see. Like there's so much more to this. And everybody can have that if you build it out, if you learn how to tap into it. And so, yes.
Truth can be very detrimental to a lot of people because they will realize like most of the things that they've lived in their life is a lie.
Okay,
you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, so I'm going to break it down very well. So I don't even know the question, but I know exactly
what you're talking about, yeah.
And that's the idea that does everybody actually want to be free? Would everybody actually want to be free? The answer is yes. Is everybody ready to be free? No. Why does not everybody want to be free? Because they're not ready. So they don't want to be free because they're not ready. And because, like you said, for example, they're dealing with a bunch of things that they shouldn't, know all this truth, or they don't want to face the reality. They just want to live ignorantly. Yeah, but that's because if they, like, any situation, maybe 0.001, but then I'm like, then you're giving room for yourself to BS yourself. Like, yes, some people are in such bad situations. I don't want to sound like I'm coming from like a standpoint of, and I have had a lot of, I don't even want to say, like, some other people can look at the things that have happened in my life and been like, oh, that was like such negative things, those such adversity things. But that's the point. I don't see it as that. I see them all as blessings. Okay. And a lot of people who went through a lot, even more of those, of let's say things that they could have felt like were horrible things, they just, it's all here. Like, you can make them all blessings. You can see them all as blessings. And maybe, like, I don't even want to say, I'm just going to stick on the side of being even more harsh. Of the politically correct thing to say would be like, this is why you can't please everybody. The politically correct thing to say would be to say, like, oh yeah, of course there's some people out there like, yes, you went through such hard things. You went through such hard things. So, like, you have the right to be sorry. No. But that's the thing, is like, I can't even give it to those 1% or those 0.001%, because then 50% of people are going to be like, oh, that's me. That's the 1%. I went through all these bad things. And then instead of fixing it, and instead of giving yourself a better reality and freeing yourself from this, switching the perspective and switching the associations of the feelings towards those things that happened, instead they're going to put a negative one. You know what I'm saying? It's going to find an excuse. So I'm not going to give you any of that room. Okay? So that's the perfect answer, I feel like. Not everybody's ready. Does everybody want it? Yes. If they were to become ready, and everybody can become ready, then everybody does want it. But that doesn't mean it's the same thing for everybody.
Right.
Can everybody in the world, every person in the world be a millionaire? No.
Right.
But not every person in the world wants to be a millionaire. That's not their idea of actually being free. So, but can everybody have all the things that they want and live in that internal freedom, spiritual freedom, physical freedom, and in a way for it to all be balanced?
Yes, 100%. And even the most ambitious people who would need to take from other people, I feel like can get exactly what they want from that. But there is also the reality, and for example, AI, let's maybe just talk about that. AI actually gives us a chance. It's very split. So it gives us the chance where it can also be that dystopia, and there's like a very small amount of people who are free with it and who are able to do what they want with it, just like even more ultra of like the truth of what exists right now between things being split. But then it could also be a gateway, and I want to focus on the gateway because, like, yes, it's good to build awareness. Everybody should build awareness on the bad things that can happen, so the right processes can be done to avoid it.
Right.
But I feel like everybody should, all of you guys, because trust me, the people at the top, I know them. I know what they're saying. I've listened to them. I know people who know them. And they're pushing it way more than we sometimes think that they should. Way more. They're pushing it like they're thinking of it very optimistically, but also because there's money involved,
Right.
and because it's a competition. But kind of like playing with fire, as if fire was gold. So they're getting gold from playing with fire. But also, everybody else should understand how they can all make that bridge where it could be a bridge that creates that pure abundance, that pure freedom for everybody, where it all gets balanced out.
Right.
And no matter what, though, even if it's an in between, even if 10% of people are living a certain way, 90%, most of good news is if you're watching this, then whatever happens, you would be part of the more free thinking people, because you're going to create a better life for yourself, and you're way more aware, especially if you watch it to this point, then you're way more aware. So you're going to end up in a good position no matter what. And yeah, so no matter what, if you do everything we talk about kind of in this podcast, then no matter what happens on the outside, no matter if it's the whole world, AI take over, negative or good, no matter if it's something happens in your personal life, no matter if it's something happens,
or no matter if it's just regular things happening in your business and rather than getting swayed, this is how you can make sure, how you can guarantee that you're going to act a certain way, react a certain way, get the clarity for it, get the awareness for it, do the right inputs in your day-to-day to get the right results, and in your mind to become the right person, which is going to make those right results, and be the person that you want. Because the growth, one last thing I'm going to end this off on. And this also for everybody to find freedom. And the main focus for everybody is that they should also not just learn about their own psychology, purpose and mission. So purpose and mission, by focusing on purpose and mission, you will get everything. Right now we're kind of focused on purpose and mission. We're so free. We're so free right now. When you're working out, you're focused on kind of purpose and mission. When someone's making music, when someone is, helping out people, when someone is, whatever it is, even if it's wrong, they feel so free. They feel so good doing it. That's just how we're made. That's how God made us. So by doing it, you're going to be mentally free. By doing that as an active habit, which you should do as much as possible, and all the different angles of it, everything surrounding it. And if you do it right, like, it should give you the keys to get all that on the outside, because it should pay you well and do all that.
Right.
So, and it should spiritually make you feel aligned and make you feel at peace. So, make you not give a fuck.
Yeah.
So, like right now, were you hungry an hour ago? Yes, but right now you don't care.
I honestly forgot.
Yeah, that's exactly what it is. That's a physical world thing. When you're in flow state, that's exactly how it works. And yeah.
Well, that's that. And well, Leo, where can people find you, my man?
Okay, my Instagram. Just go on my Instagram. That's the main place.
The main place.
Then also YouTube. Then also, which I'm going to be putting more on. Then also TikTok. All platforms.
We'll put
whatever.
those links down below.
It's either Leo Lorcy or LEOXLORCY.
Yeah.
And yeah, there's going to be so much more coming. You might, I guess, know me a little better now. And
Leo,
this guy's going to help me take over. We're not talking about what he's helping me do. But this guy's going to help me take over.
Dude,
right?
Love it.
Let's fucking go.